This is the Australian Butchers Guild podcast, brought to you by Meat and Livestock Australia, the podcast for passionate butchers.
G'day and welcome to another episode of the Australian Butchers Guild podcast. I'm your host, Doug Piper. Today I'm catching up with the owners of Edgehill Butchery. Edgehill Butchery is located in Cairns, up in far north Queensland. Rod and Julie Lever have owned this unique business for the past 5 years and have recently been named Queensland's Shop of the Year at the AMIC Annual Shop Awards, and also taking out a bunch of Sausage King Awards as well. Welcome to the Australian Butchers Guild podcast. How are you today?
Good, thanks, Doug. Thanks very much for having us.
Lovely sunny day up in Cairns. Nothing to complain about.
Mate, love it up there. I was up in your area a few months ago now, actually, and I remember it was the weather. I think it was cold and windy down here in Sydney. It was probably in round about just coming into winter for us, and I didn't want to go home, except the wife kept on calling me saying, come on, you got to get back here now.
It's 32 up here today and about 98% humidity, I think.
Melting. Let's get stuck in it, I suppose. So I believe you guys own Edgehill Butchery. It's a butcher shop that's been up there for quite a number of years. Bit of a historical butchery, isn't it?
Yeah, it was started back in 1925. It's got a lot of history about it. The shop was just a little timber, 4 walls with the chicken wire above the eaves and that. You know, it was a very basic little shop back in the day, and there's a 4-bedroom house above the shop that got brought down on horse and cart from Mount Mulligan. That used to be a mine up in the Atherton Tablelands, and there was a major drama up there and it blew up, and they brought the house down on horseback carts and dragged it down the range somehow, Doug. Like, we still don't know how it actually got down. All the steel underneath, it's all British steel. It's not before BHP time. It's just amazing to think they could bring a house down and relocate it in Cairns like that.
It's unreal what they used to get up to in the good old days, I suppose you would call it. You know, what they could achieve with pure manual labour.
Yeah, and it's just like I said, a lot of history in the shop there. That's the start of it, and there was a couple of owners before the Valadies bought it, and then it was in their family for 70 years. His father had it before Brian, and Brian got it from his father, and unfortunately Brian passed away, and it went back on the market again. Their sons didn't want to take up butchering, and that's how myself and Jules ended up buying it. You know, we're very lucky, and I feel very privileged to be able to buy such a shop with a lot of history.
How long ago was that?
5 years. Last week it was. Wow.
Okay, so that must have been pretty tough going into a shop with such history there. How did you guys manage that?
It was quite tough. Like, when we first went in there, like, obviously I've been butchering for a long time. We had a vision, and we always wanted to go over to that position, but was never for sale or had the opportunity. And just in there with the general customers, they wanted to know where you come from, how long you've been butchering for, do you know what you're doing. They were an old group of people, very set in their ways and didn't like change. So to start with, yeah, every person you served or spoke to, they wanted to know exactly what you're up to and who you were.
Yeah, I suppose you had a little bit of an advantage there too. You weren't really an outsider, are you? You're both from that region, aren't you?
Yeah, we both lived up here, and we didn't make sort of announcements when we first bought the shop. We just went in there and wanted to see how it was operating, and it was very close. Well, it was this time of year, so we had sort of 2 months to prep for Christmas and get organised, and it was unfortunately a little run down at the time, and so we had a lot to do, but our main goal was to get over Christmas. We just wanted to get in there and settle down and just get through Christmas, and we believed that if we could do the right thing for Christmas, you know, after the years after would come easy. Yeah,
it's sort of set yourself up for the following years, I suppose, if you get that right the first time round.
Yeah, exactly, Doug. You know, and it was exactly that, and it was very nerve-wracking because the old owners didn't really have any records or anything like that. So you went in blind, and, you know, the numbers were all, you just didn't know what you were facing.
Yeah. Did you do the shop up before you opened it up or reopened it, or did you wait until after Christmas before you did that?
The second day we went in there, unfortunately the display cabinets, they weren't up to standard. They were the old cold plate system when in North Queensland, when it's this sort of temperature. I think inside the cabinets got to about 20 degrees through the day. So it was something the second day we were into the shop, we pulled out the front window, and it's sort of everyone in the village, because where we're located is in a little village there, all looking through and wondering what was happening, whether the shop was getting dismantled or whether someone else was going in there and going to do something different to it. So we sort of sat down there and we had a plan, and it had a couple of chairs in a waiting room there because that's how old-fashioned it was, and we used to sit there after trade of a daytime and have a drink and sort of talk about how and what we wanted to do with the shop after Christmas.
It's a beautiful looking shop, mate. I remember being in there and just walking into it. It's not a big shop, is it? It's quite a small sort of a shop, but it's well set out, very manageable, and you've got that sort of industrial look inside of it.
Yeah, well, we had to work with the front area. We extended the shop to put pre-pack in and a few other, obviously, shop shelves and that for condiments. But we were very limited to what we could do. It's a very unusual shape. You definitely wouldn't build a shop like that today. It's luckily with both myself and Jules, we sat down and we had this vision that it started off timber 80 odd years ago. So we wanted to restore it to the sort of the days of old. So we done it all out in timber and pipe, as you said, that industrial feeling. And then the tiles on the back of the wall are actually like to suit, because it went into a brick sort of red brick that was done originally, the shop, the old red bricks. We sort of incorporated that in, and it just, the shop fitters and that done it for us, they were just amazing. Like, they just done such a great job, and we were operating the whole way through when they done it. They come in overnight to put new ceilings in, because we changed everything. But they were excited about it too, just bringing it back to like that modern look, and people say to us, it's a credit to you and how it come up, and it really is. It is an amazing shop, as you said, to look at, come into, and we get people all over Australia and super yachts from all over the world, and they just say this is just something different.
Yeah, it's got that appeal to it. It's got it's got that rustic, like we said, industrial look. But I've only seen a couple of shops with those pipes in it that hold up the shelves and the brickwork in it. You see a lot of guys these days are going for a lot of timber looks, but the brickwork I think looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it just sets it all off. It's not just all timber, and I think with the two different styles of the timber and the brick, and it just all goes together. And I mean, obviously, you can see it's got a woman's touch in there. It's not just my ideas, and I think Jules had a major part on. She could see as well, and it just happened.
Yeah, thank goodness for Julie.
Thank you.
You're being very quiet there tonight, Julie. It's not like you.
No, I'm just waiting for all the compliments to come in from my husband.
Yeah. One of the things like up in the tropics, like Cairns is tropical Queensland, so you must have a heck of a job trying to get the right sort of product and making sure you've got enough. How have you handled all that?
Yeah, it is a major challenge in North Queensland. Unfortunately, we source a lot of branded beef, from Cape Grim, Ranges Valley and stuff. So obviously there's wholesalers in Brisbane, but we find we carry sort of at least 2 weeks worth of meat, if not 3. Coming into this time of year, we have cyclones and floods, and the road can close for a week or two, over the years. It's before Christmas, after Christmas. So it's something that we're always aware of. We put in a full generator system at the shop in case something goes wrong, because this time of year when you're fully stocked with hams and stuff and, you get a cyclone, it is very stressful. And so we've sort of tried to set ourselves up so we are self-sufficient in that sense if something happens. And at present days, just with even the shortage of stock, sometimes you can't get it, and it's not like we can get 2 cartons or 3 cartons just local. We sort of have to buy half pallet buys. So it's sort of, you have to be prepared to hold the stock up here, I think, to keep the customers happy.
I noticed that you sell a lot of Wagyu too. Like you keep some really good brands up there, like Ranges and Cape Grim. But the Wagyu that I've seen, I think when we were up there, you had some, was it marble score 9 tenderloin that I had never seen that sort of marbling in a tenderloin before. Do you get that very often?
Yes, we do now. When we first started, like, believe it or not, we started with just a Wagyu rump and just to touch the waters in Cairns. There's not I suppose, a lot of shops that sell Wagyu, high-end Wagyu up here, and there is. We have a lot of people from down south, and as I spoke, we do a lot of super yachts and things like that. So there is people up here that they love a good bit of steak, and you can't even buy that sort of quality when you're in restaurants and that in Cairns anyway. But it took off from there. Then we added strip loins, cube rolls, and then into the eye fillets. As you said, that was the last straw. But we sort of started with marble score 5. We went in the middle there. We thought that'll do. And then people kept on asking us for higher score. And we thought, oh, well, if they're going to ask, we'll get it. And it's quite amazing, as you said, how much Wagyu we sell up here and we cut and package. It is really popular product for us nowadays.
Do you have to vacuum pack that, like cut individual steaks or portion cut the steaks and vacuum pack it, or do you sell it straight from the cabinet?
What we do, we put it in our pre-pack. Obviously, it's one of those lines, you want to look after it in the best way you can. So we cut it all up to what we believe the right portion. We actually then use the stickers. The companies of that high-end beef are very generous with their stickers and stuff, for branding. And I think that makes a huge difference. We shrink dip it all. So there's a little bit of work involved, but the end result you get from it and displaying it in your cabinet by shrinking is just amazing. It looks so much better than just the Cryovac bags with all the loose ears and stuff on it, and it displays perfectly.
Yeah, visual things are a good thing. Yeah, people will buy with their eyes if it's nicely packaged, nice and tight, and I think you're also getting a better shelf life too, especially when you're heat dipping it as well.
Yeah, definitely, Doug. And the thing that, as you said, with our Wagyu, it's even, we started off with, I think back then we might have used the Rangers brand, but I'm finding now that it's not just one brand people want. They love their Robbins Island. They like the Jacks Creek. Like, we have 2 or 3 different varieties of sirloins from different companies now because, everyone has their own opinion on what's better.
Yeah, everybody's got their own favourites, I suppose. So at the moment, you've got to take what you can get, don't you? At
the moment, definitely, yeah. We are struggling. We've got some good relationships built over many years with the wholesalers, and we are very lucky there. We seem to always get enough to keep us chugging along. So, it's lovely like that.
Yeah, relationships are a key, aren't they? And especially in your position where you are, you don't have that choice. You've got to pay your bills. You've got to be on top of everything, and you've got to treat them right. And obviously they look after you.
Yeah, you rely on them to find it because, like for us, like we might leave a pallet away every Friday, but by Friday, some of that stock that's come in and everyone else has grabbed, and you're relying on them to put it aside and hold it for you. And I think that was one of our big things, just building relationship with the wholesalers. And, they have been excellent to us up here, and all through COVID and everything. We never run out of stock. We always had ample amount of stock, and it was just great.
I bet you're about the only butcher shop around that often gets a visit from their wholesaler, because I don't know too many people that wouldn't mind going up there for a business trip.
No, we do often get them. Australian wholesale meats, like we buy probably 80% of products through them. They've had some great brands, and over the years they've been really great. We've been fortunate enough to get to go to trips to Cape Grim and stuff down there and meet the farmers, and that's just another amazing sort of sight through your wholesalers. They really look after us up here, and as I said, they just put stock aside. Like, I normally start off with, on a Friday, what have you got for me? And they'll say, well, we put this aside, we've got your reserve grade Cape Grim cube rolls, we've got lamb back straps, because if they don't do that for us, it's just very hard to get the stock, and then you're sending pallets away that aren't full.
So you've been in that shop for 5 years. You had a shop previously down in the town centre, Mighty Nice Meats, was it?
Yeah, we built that shop in a shopping centre. I was very fortunate enough, a gentleman by the name of Johnny Schofield, where me and Jules probably started in small retail business 20 years ago, give us an opportunity, and he left a shop for us and went around Australia, and we were very young back then, paying off our first house and didn't have a lot of money, and he just said to me, Rod, I'm going to go and we'll be back. And I said to him, we can't afford, we're paying off a house, we've got a little bit of savings, and we just couldn't afford it. And he said, well, I'm going to charge you this much rent. And he said, we'll do a stock take. And he said that if there's $18,000 in the room and when I come back there's 20, I'll owe you 2, or if there's 16, you owe me 2. And I mean, we just couldn't believe it, me and Jules, to have that opportunity that someone was prepared to just like virtually give us the shop, I suppose, and said, you'll be fine. And when I come back, it's his. And so we done very well there. And it was very hard, like Jules, like it was a very old shop, and Johnny Schofield been there a long time, no ladies in there or that. And the customers, once again, it was the start of having to deal with people and win their trust over right at a very early stage for us. So we went there, and he sort of said to us we'd never work for anybody apart from ourselves again. And at that age, we sort of said, yeah, we'll just see what happens. And he come back after a couple of years, and everything settled down, and we were there for another 12 months, I think I spent there, and we moved on, and that's when we set up the butcher shop in a shopping centre. We just, as he said, we just needed to work for ourselves, and he was very helpful to us, and unfortunately he's passed on, but we're still very close to his son and that today. And we spent 13 years in a shopping centre which was very good. You know, it was good. It's hard work in shopping centres, very rewarding once again, and what you put into it. And I mean, it put us in a place where we were lucky enough to purchase Edgehill where we are today. You know, if we didn't do that 13 years in a shopping centre, we wouldn't have been able to get where we were today with the property we have at Edgehill there and the shop we have.
Moving from a shopping centre to a strip shop like where you are now, which is better? What do you feel?
When I was in the shopping centre, I thought the shopping centre was much, back in the day, it must have been in 10, 15 years ago, I felt that was the way you had to be in a shopping centre if you were going to survive, and people were heading there and leaving the little strip shop, and this was the last straw, to move into the shopping centres. I've done a whole 360. I believe, I don't know what I should say, but I think they're one of the worst places to be. I love have our own shop and on a strip shop, to be able to do the things that you like to do, not being told you've got to work Sundays or that, and make your own hours. And we made Edgehill a destination. So people do travel to us, and they love coming there for the products that we have, and they're very unique. It's not only meat, as you know, we sell wines, ports, liqueurs. Jules goes to great levels to find a lot of condiments and stuff to go with the meat, like from all over Australia. When you're in shopping centres, you have all these covenants over you that you can't do that, and it has to be approved, where in the little standalone shop now, if we decide we want this, we go and do it, and it's lovely. It just really helps sell the sale of meat. Like some days we have customers come in there and they might spend $20 on meat and $150 on condiments nowadays. It's just amazing.
So Mighty Nice, you used to do a lot of value adding there, didn't you? I think that was a large part of your business in Mighty Nice. You've continued to do that in Edgehill too. Yeah,
Mighty Nice, I had a bunch of young fellas that were, I think we had 3 apprentices at the stage and only another butcher and myself. And it went back into the days when we started the Red Meat Networking Club and were fortunate enough to go on a few trips all over Australia. And that sort of really clicked it off, because we're a steak and chop shop, and to see what other butchers were doing in Western Australia and things like that, it's just really, I just thought, this is how good's this. You start with one product and you get excited, and before you know it, you've got 10 different products in the window. And the lovely thing about value adding is, as we all know, that it's not so much price competitive. If you do a great job of it, people like it, and it's a great thing to get people to come to your shop that some people don't have, the other products.
The way value adding's changed over the years, it's gone from, stir fries, crumb steak, pepper steak, garlic steak, and these days it's more about, the flavours, the pastries, the pies that you can make. There's just so many different things butchers are doing out there, and I think the Red Meat Networking Club, as it is today, which is the Australian Butchers Guild, those tours were just so valuable to so many guys. I was lucky enough to go on quite a few of them when I first started with MLA, and I remember meeting you. That's where I first met you guys in one of those tours, and I think it was the Perth one. And I remember we went to the boathouse, I think it was, where Australia Tours made. It was used to be a boat factory, and now it was when we went there, it was a butcher shop, one of the best butcher shops I've ever seen, as well as a big produce. The produce they had in that place was just remarkable. But the way that they set that shop out was great, and the ticketing they had on it too. Everything had a cook method, a time, so mum and dad could walk in there, look at their favourite product or a product and go, wow, I've got 20 minutes tonight. Well, this is only going to take me 20 minutes to cook. That's fantastic. And they had the I suppose the value of the produce there that they could buy with it, and all the condiments as well that shop had. Did that have much of an impact on the way that you ran your business?
Oh, huge impact, Doug. And that was the great thing about those. If you put everything aside and you actually got off your seat and left your shop and went on these trips, it was amazing what you learnt. We went on quite a few of them. You always come back with new ideas and inspired to do something different in your own business, whether it was to do value added, whether it was to change your counter, make trays, as you said, even simple ticketing ideas, and the great thing about it was the butchers, they opened up to you. It wasn't like, oh, you're coming to steal my ideas. There was nothing. Everything was on the table, and they actually helped you and still have friendships today from all the different shops you were into and that, it's not like it was a secret. everyone was trying to help everybody.
Yeah, that was the best part about it. It was the friendships, I think, because a lot of the butchers that I still speak to, that from those early days, they still say, when are you going to do those tours again? Well, we're going to start doing them again next year, so hopefully there won't be any lockdowns anywhere, and everyone will be double vaxxed. There'll be all that sort of stuff we got to worry about to start with. But if I can get it across the line, we're gonna start doing them again, and probably only one or two a year. We'll do a national one, but I think it's time to revisit that side of it again, where just helping everybody and networking again. I think it's a valuable part of the business.
Yeah, because I do believe that, because as you said, people do believe that. I think sometimes you ring up to ask a question and you're not trying to steal an idea or anything like that. You're just looking at different ways to do things yourself. And obviously, I think any butcher will put their own twist on everything. It's not about this is how we do it, but it's just interesting to know whether it's a simple fold of a pastry or some sort of a quantity to put into something, and everyone's got something to learn from everybody.
Yeah, definitely. So is that part of what Julie does, or you've got all the butchers doing it? You've got, I think you've got your daughter Natalie. She's in the business as well. She works. Well, she says she works pretty hard in there. Yeah, Jules, you do a lot of the counter work and everything, don't you?
I do. I like to stay out the front. I'm familiar with all the customers, their kids, their families, basically what everybody eats. And I like to do a lot of the merchandising, and I do all the buying of whether it be chocolates, condiments, cheeses, that type of thing. That's my thing. When we sold our last butcher shop, I wanted to have a homeware store, and I never got it. So I treat this as my little homeware store, and it's a bit of a hobby for me.
Homeware store. Well, it actually does show really when you look at the shop with the even down to the lighting. I really love the lights that you've got hanging above the counter. It's if any of the butchers out there listening, if you get up to Cairns, you've got to go to Edgehill. You've got to have a look at the shop. Introduce yourself to Rod and Julie, because I'm pretty sure they'll welcome you with open arms and more than willing to show you what they've got.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we love chatting to butchers, and it's so nice to have someone pop in from another state and say, I'm from Western Australia or South Australia, and have a chat. You show them through your rooms, and I'm sure they would do the same if you go to their shop. And we have made friends by people coming to visit us. If we're in their state, we always try to go visit them.
Rod, you mentioned super yachts. How did you get onto that?
There was a super yacht group up in Cairns and stuff, and once we got established and built a bit of a name again for us, we found people were coming and asking for it, like the boats and different items. And over the years, it becomes one of those things. They have a little book on their boat, and if you do the right thing, you get a tick in the book, and the chef leaves and a new chef comes, and they tend to go back to their own places where they've had good service and quality. And like anything, they all talk amongst themselves too. So I mean, it's, if you do the right thing, you get the rewards, I suppose, and they do expect very high service, and they want nothing but the best, and the packaging and everything. We have to pack it to leave Australian waters, and there's certain rules and things we have to do for them. But nowadays they come to Edgehill because they know we've got a great reputation.
And those yachts, they come from all over the world, or are they from various states around Australia?
All over the world, and it's quite amazing, Doug. Like, we've had boats from America, Russia, and the chefs have changed boats, and they come to Cairns obviously for our reefs and diving experiences, and they sort of stop here and get supplies and go up into New Guinea and things like that before they head off. And they've sort of supported us. They leave. You might see them gone for 6 months, 12 months, and then they turn up again, and you're the first port of call. And it's lovely to get to know that you're doing the right thing, and have them come back and buy more produce off you.
That's excellent. You've recently been named Queensland top shop.
Yes. Look, we're very privileged and proud of that. Like, we obviously work hard like any shop does. The Queensland state titles were held, I think, 4 weeks ago, and we won the Queensland top shop for that. And then the year previously we had COVID, we didn't do it, and we won it the year before. So probably the last 2 years we were lucky enough to win the shop. So obviously we are doing something right and impressing the right people, and it's lovely to get those rewards, and you feel like that you are heading in the right direction.
Also, the Sausage King, how did you go in that? You did pretty well with that, with the regional heat there.
Yeah, we done very well in the regional heat. We ended up with 4 first prizes in the regional heat in North Queensland. Obviously, then we went to state with those, and we got a first for our traditional pork, and then we got the 3 seconds. So to take down 4 categories and to bring home 4 first and second prizes, it was just a great feat, Doug. I mean, we've all done it, and you can't expect to win. You can't win all the time or anything, and to be called up that many times, it was mind blowing. You know, we always thought we might have had a chance to get something, but not to get a prize in every category, and then to top it off at the end of the night with the Shop of the Year.
Yeah, congratulations on all of that. It's a lot of hard work goes into all that, and being able to have the reward at the end of the day is obviously very rewarding. And you use that to your advantage too, don't you? You've got to do a little bit of PR work and let everybody know that you've won. How do you manage that?
We're very lucky with the papers and the radio up here that the paper's done a nice story on us, the local paper and different things. So it was lovely to see that happen. A few local radio stations that over the years we've got to know the people and they were happy to talk about it and give us a phone call and find out how we go. They're very interested in all the time. And then we do our own social media marketing and things like that. But those awards, I think any butcher would be proud of them. And like you say, they aren't handed out lightly as much as some people might think so. I'm sure there's a lot of time and effort. And still today, you don't know who the judges are or anything like that. You put your best foot forward and hopefully you can come away with it. But it's just interesting to see. And like I said, they do definitely help your business. And I encourage people to do the Sausage Kings and that, because it's, we can't win all the time, but it's amazing if you can just once you get it started, you just want to do more and more, and it just encourages you to make better products and stuff.
Yeah, one of the butchers that just is etched in my mind is a butcher down in Wollongong, Johnny Hasty. Really nice bloke, big family business down there. I think his father had the shop down there prior to him taking over, or his dad retiring. And he won it. I think he won the traditional Australian, which is your beef sausage, over in Perth. And he milked that for everything. And he did so well, and his business today is still booming. And I think he's done okay in the regional heats, and I'm not sure how he's gone in the state heats. But it's something that you've got to be involved in. You've got to put your heart and soul into it, and make sure that you make the best out of that little bit of advertising that you can get, because you don't know who's out there, you don't know who's reading it, and it can certainly turn your whole business around.
Oh, 100%. And and as you said, and I think even after the competitions, it's important to keep that quality up. Like over the years, people they win something and they go back. But, you've got so many new customers that come into your store because they've read it or heard it and they want to try your sausages. And I just feel you must keep that quality, and you can't take shortcuts or anything. You've got to keep doing the right thing. And you've got customers that will stay with you. And events like that, you could end up with 50 or 60 new customers.
Definitely can. And I was also speaking to Julie through the week, and she said she got a photo box.
Yes, I did. I was listening to one of your podcasts, and we bought the photo box, and we've been experimenting with it. Fantastic. It takes your photos to the next level. So we're still a bit amateur at our photos, but we're getting better. Practice makes perfect, right?
Definitely. I saw your Barnsley chop post on your Instagram page, and it actually looked really good. I went out and bought one too, but it's still sitting in the box. I haven't put it together yet, but I'll get to that one day. But I haven't had anything to take a photo of, so I'll whack that up. But what size one did you get?
We got an 800, which I found was too big, but I wanted to be able to do from steaks through to leg hams. So a 600 would have been ideal, but at the time I couldn't find one, so I thought, why not? Let's just get the biggest one we can. It is a bit cumbersome to move around, and I would say for the one time a year you're going to photograph a ham, I'd probably not get one that large.
Sounds more like a doghouse for Rod.
It is. I'm pretty sure we could fit in there.
Could nearly photograph babies in there.
Well, there you go. There's another opportunity for you. Look, it's been really good catching up with you guys. Thank you very much for your time tonight. It's getting on a little bit late. You've got the crow's nest up there. You've got to tell us about the crow's nest.
We bought this property here where we live in today. I had it for 10 years and we're on the back of a hill that's a reserve, so no one can build up there. And we walk up, I suppose, 50 flights of stairs, and we built this beautiful timber deck with a roof over it, and we've got its own bar fridge, and you just sit there and you can just watch the planes come in, and there's kookaburras, and it's just so peaceful. You can forget about the world.
That's a good thing about, I suppose, living where you are. You've got plenty of room. You can do that all year long. You don't have to be like Melbourne and freeze if you went outside during winter, but at least you can get out there, relax, and it's about recreating yourself. It's not recreation, it's recreation. So you've got to get away from the shop and just do something different. And doing something like that is valuable for all butchers, I think, because you spend a lot of time in the shop, and especially with like you two, you're working together, you're living together. It must get a little bit stressful from time to time, and being able to get out there and just enjoy a little bit of peace and quiet must be fantastic.
Yeah, no, it is, and it's nice. It's a nice little getaway, and as I said, we used to ask the kids to bring us drinks, but then that didn't work out too well, so we thought we better put a bar fridge up there.
Yeah, they don't do a good job at that, do they? They tend to sort of...
No, they get a couple in, and then it gets all too hard.
Yeah, get some new help next time. All right, guys, great to catch up again, and we'll look forward to seeing you very soon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Count us in for one of those red meat networking trips.
You're on. Well, that's another wrap, and thanks for tuning in to today's episode. And don't forget to follow us on the Australian Butchers Guild podcast so you can get notified when new episodes are available. If you've got any questions about any of the information tonight, please contact us at butchers@mla.com.au. That's all for now. I'm Doug Piper. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to the Australian Butchers Guild podcast, produced by The Sound Business.